Oh, but you're covering up our faces. How will I ever know what we look like? Yeah. Hello, friends! Oh, Robbie wasn't prepared for that.
I was not prepared.
Hello, friends.
Hello,
it is so
friends.
nice to see you today. Today, you're going to need some tools and equipment. You are going to need some paper.
Oh.
You are going to need something to draw with. You are going to need your ears. You're going to need your judgment. You're going to need a banana. You won't need a banana. But if you're hungry and you want a banana, you should grab one.
I know that you need your judgment.
Because we're going to have a debate, you and me, and they need to be able to successfully agree with me. All right? So after you listen to my hard-hitting arguments, you need to conclude that they are superior to Robbie's.
Oh, boy.
What? That's their job as discerning viewers and listeners. All right, let's get right to it, friends.
Right to the agenda.
Salutations, which is another word for hello, guys. Isn't that what we said earlier?
What's up, governor?
Why are we Cockney British
Because I think
actors
salutations
today?
sounds like a fancy
It
British
suggests
word.
something you might say when in the Queen's Land.
Yes.
All right. Any case, hello, hi guys. Can you put this hand? Why is this hand here? It makes it very hard for me to lean forward.
I have to do something over here.
Oh my gosh, Robbie's.
There we go.
Nobody appreciates what's happening, especially I can't get. I couldn't get closer. I felt it was like a barrier was keeping me from you.
Tough life, Matthew.
Oh my goodness. All right. Salutations. Heated debate about the wisdom of reading part of a chapter instead of the whole chapter. We had this debate yesterday, and I believe that an author writes a chapter to be read as a complete argument, as a piece of literary coherence. And ending in the middle of it is not just disrespectful to the author, but disrespectful to the reader, interrupting his or her appreciation of the piece of literature and making it impossible for the reader to glean the full enjoyment, to suck the marrow from the delight that is that chapter. Please, proceed with your counter-argument, Robbie Bear.
My counter-argument is not everybody has the right level of energy for reading at all times. And their level of energy should not be dictated by your length of chapter. So sometimes you start reading a chapter and you get a little tired partway through, and for you to demand...
Can everyone please look at the comments? Ella agrees, whole chapter. Do you know what this says? This shows that Ella is a woman of judgment, character, distinction. She's probably at least 7 feet tall.
You know what?
Yes.
She probably is full of energy at all times. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I read, I like to fall asleep as I read. So I like for a chapter to have certain little lulls where I can take a little breather. Sometimes I like to go get a little snack.
You are shooting yourself in the foot. The only argument that's compelling is that this live cast is only a half an hour long, and today's chapter is incredibly long.
So long,
so
you guys.
if we want to have time for the exercise in which you need to implement your pencil, we need to cut it off. So I won this debate twice. I won it because my argument was good, and I won it because Robbie's argument was bad. All right, moving on. However, Matthew loses the debate. Okay? Somehow, I won both sides of the argument and lost the war itself.
Yes.
So we're going to read half of a chapter, and you guys know who to blame. Whoever decided to make this live cast 30 minutes long.
Yes.
Look at that.
Robbie gloats.
Go ahead.
I feel pretty good about myself.
Yeah.
In spite of losing both parts of the debate.
I'm glad there's no open heckling happening. That's what I thought would happen. Open and ostentatious heckling. And then here we have Matthew reads part but not all of chapter 7 of the Real McCoys.
All right.
This breaks my heart. This violates every fiber of my writerliness, but we are going to move on to part of chapter 7 of the Real McCoys. And afterwards, you guys are going to learn how to draw something. But I'm not going to tell you because that would make the reading of the agenda less exciting later. Okay. We aim to preserve every aspect of anticipation that we can.
For future reference, once you become business people who do have to follow an agenda, it is most polite to send the agenda to the people who are attending the meeting before they go to the meeting.
Question. Is politeness the point here, or is hard-hitting entertainment value the point? And is it more fun to watch as Robbie Bear is ambushed and blindsided?
Every time.
Yeah. Robbie has not yet once volunteered to make the agenda herself.
And to be fair, if I were in a business setting, I might not reliably always read the agenda before I went to the meeting.
She never would. So once again, Robbie Bear is making terrible arguments and yet getting her way. That, my friends, is the sign of a true business leader. All right. Chapter 7, Principal Jones. Now that I know who took Eddie, I need to get this information to the one person who can do something about it. In Volume 24, and Eat It Too, Annabelle basically solves the mystery in the first chapter. It was the king himself who stole the crown jewels. But before she can get the evidence to the vice-chancellor, she gets locked in the hold of a rickety schooner, taking the long route around the Cape of Good Hope, and has to spend the next 17 chapters plotting her escape from the clutches of Dr. Fungo and his band of renegade accountants. A thing she manages to do just moments before the king, by this time completely off his rocker, threatens to invade Scotland using an enormous robotic lobster. Which is why I need to make sure Principal Jones knows as soon as possible that Bob Tuttleman could, at any moment, commit some even more hideous crime. And so, when the class files into the building and back toward the 4th grade classroom, I take a detour. I am delighted to have such an excellent reason not to go back to class, because it is time for the spelling test, and I enjoy spelling tests about as much as I enjoy petting rattlesnakes. Do you see that word there on the screen that Robbie made out of that snake body? The word is ophidiophobia. Ophidiophobia, which means fear of Robbie Bear, which I live with constantly. The fear of snakes. Yes. So delight and amaze the people in your life by saying,
I'm a bit of ophidiophobia.
Or you could accuse them of being ophidiophobia. That's true.
Robbie Bear is 100% ophidiophobia.
But I think you're going to grow out of it someday, when you're big and wise and strong. I admit that I am not the world's best speller, but Dad has told me over and over that some of the most intelligent people in history were terrible spellers. Which is to say, my spelling woes might be the very reason I am so good at everything else. Tammy and Tracy Dublinger love spelling tests more than penguins love ice. This is because they are, perhaps, the world's best spellers. But who has time to care about spelling when a dastardly owl thief is on the loose? I happen to know that Principal Jones always stands outside her office after recess, watching the kindergartners and first graders and second graders as they walk back to their classrooms. My guess is that she's trying to decide which one of them to eat for lunch. I turn the corner and see her standing there and pause for a second. Principal Jones is the sort of person who does not want to be bothered, except for when you have very important news, such as you just discovered an iguana in your lunchbox. But since finding out who stole Eddie is perhaps the most important news Principal Jones will ever hear in her entire life, I take a deep breath and boldly tap her on the arm and say in my most official detective whisper, I know who took Eddie. Principal Jones looks at me, as if I'm a fly that just landed on her sandwich. She bends down a bit to hear me better. Excuse me? Clearly, this is her way of letting me know that she would rather have this conversation in private and not in front of the little kids. Which makes perfect sense. Principal Jones is also a professional. I have important information that I would prefer to discuss in your office. Principal Jones can tell from the expression on my face how very serious I am, because she gives me a dignified nod and leads me into the main office and then into her private office, which is in the back corner. Principal Jones is so important that her office is actually 2 rooms. First, there's the waiting area where Mrs. Breath sits at her desk, daring you not to burst into tears. Right across from that desk is a little bench where kids who have been sent to see Principal Jones have to wait while Mrs. Breath slowly devours them with her mind. I do not like to be mean, and so I won't be mean, but I will say in completely objective terms that if there ever was a person who looks like a bulldog in a pantsuit, it is Mrs. Breath. Fortunately, I do not have to sit on the bench. I am an invited guest of Principal Jones. Moxie and I need to have a talk, says Principal Jones. Please see that we are not disturbed. Mrs. Breath gives me a mean sort of look, as if she is certain I have done some horrible thing and am about to suffer the consequences. Principal Jones leads me into her actual office, which contains a bigger desk and a bigger bench. She gestures for me to sit down. I look all around for the machine that hangs by your ankles, and the lever that opens up the trapdoor above the eel tank, but I don't see either. I wonder if maybe she keeps them in the closet? You were about to tell me something. As I prepare to deliver the exciting news, I wonder if Principal Jones might decide to just give me the Eddie Award now and tell the other kids about it later at the assembly. I have figured out who stole Eddie, I say. I try to say it with a flourish, as Annabelle Adams does, but it occurs to me that I do not know how a flourish is supposed to sound, and so I say it slowly, emphasizing certain syllables. I have figured out who stole Eddie. Excuse me, says Principal Jones. I figured out who stole Eddie, I repeat. with less of a flourish this time. Instead of clapping her hands in delight and offering me some candy from the bowl on her desk, Principal Jones looks as if she doesn't quite believe me. "Is that so?" she says. "Yes, I say." I am terribly excited and wish that Dud Boggs were here to document the moment. "Are you going to tell me—" "Oh, I wonder if the story in the Monthly Owl will include a picture of me getting my Eddie Award, and whether there will also be a big photo of Bob Tuttleman getting carted off to jail. My mind is racing. Are there enormous cash prizes for apprehending owl thieves? Will there be a parade in my honor?" "Are you going to tell me who it is?" asked Principal Jones. I lean closer to Principal Jones and whisper, anyone could be listening after all. "Bob Tuttleman." "Oh? And what makes you think Bob took Eddie?" I consider it strange that Principal Jones is not more surprised. Maybe she has always suspected that Bob is owl thief material. I explain how Bob has asked to go to the bathroom, and I show her the hall pass from the crime scene, deciding not to mention Mr. Hammer so he doesn't get in trouble for giving it to me. Principal Jones squints over her glasses. "I'm pretty sure this hall pass belongs to someone named Fungoy Popplenot." And suddenly, I'm concerned that Principal Jones will recognize the hall pass is the one I showed her earlier. So I decide to move on to the other evidence, mentioning that the ropes around Eddie's case had been knocked out of place, and noting that only someone with Bob's endless enthusiasm would have left such an obvious clue while committing such a horrible crime. Finally, I mentioned the greasy thumbprint and how Bob had been eating donuts during recess. "It's an ironclad case," I say. Ironclad means absolutely 100% true if you're not familiar with the term. "I am familiar with the term," says Principal Jones. I'm waiting for a crowd of kids to flood into the room and lift me up on their chair and their shoulders while the 6th grade band plays America the Beautiful, but Principal Jones has a sour look on her face. "I'm afraid you're missing one important fact." "What is that?" I ask, panic at first, and then getting sort of excited. Maybe Principal Jones found another clue that proves that Bob is also guilty of several other awful crimes. Not long after Bob left your classroom, he tripped over Mrs. Flicker's art tray and spilled paint all over the hallway. He spent the next 20 minutes helping her clean it up, which means he couldn't have stolen Eddie. I am disappointed, of course. All the evidence had pointed straight to Bob. I feel like that's the kind of pause that Robbie is looking for.
Middle of chapter pause.
If Robbie was working with a more thoughtful writer, I would have ended the chapter there and started a new chapter. I got clarification on our friend E's comment. His comment was not that the book was so long that
the
chapter was too long. He was reading it in the bathroom. And he was in there for a long time, and his mom was like, "What's going on?" And he said, "Oh my goodness, that chapter was longer than a roll of toilet paper." So it was sort of a metaphor. It was a metaphorical way of describing the length of my endless chapter. So E and Robbie both agree that Matthew needs to keep his chaptering in line. So
I want to just do a little pointing out.
What's that?
Can I do some stuff that's not on the agenda?
Yeah.
So when Matthew writes...
Yeah. Yes, there was some really delightful Robbie stuff that I didn't want to interrupt.
He wrote that Bob was guilty of several other crimes, right?
Right.
But he didn't tell me what the crimes were.
Right.
So I had to make up crimes.
Right.
So let's see. So here's one crime. I've got him stealing coins out of the piggy bank, right? And then his footprint is there.
Okay.
And then the next one, stealing cookies out of the cookie jar.
Right.
Leaving a trail of crumbs behind him. The next one is sinking the Titanic. He was driving the iceberg.
So, guys, this is what we call comedic escalation, okay? This means you can surprise your reader by having a series of things, and each one gets a little bit more funny, weird, surprising than the last. So in this case, Robbie put two very sort of predictable, right? These are things that a kid detective might actually do, or the kid might actually perpetrate crimes, breaking a piggy bank or stealing cookies. Then the third one has great geopolitical consequences, which is probably not something Bob Tuttleman is capable of.
But absolutely something that Moxie would suspect him of.
Exactly. Yes. So it's characterization for Moxie, actually.
Right.
Everything in this book is inside of Moxie's mind.
Yes. So now we're back.
Oh, okay. Nice work.
Yes.
Nice work.
There are some other things that I could point out, but
I'd like to have more time for the next part, which is Robbie teaches you how to draw Moxie and Milton.
Excellent.
Okay? So please, we are going to now magically make Robbie's drawing space appear. Anyone here was with us last time saw Robbie create a monster with 3...
grab a piece of paper and a pencil.
Yes.
Or a drawing instrument.
And you will get to learn.
L Puppy is back again with some jokes.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll hit those at the end, L.
I'm going to do it right now.
LP, okay.
While everybody's getting their pieces of paper. Why are fish so smart?
Oh, I looked, so I can't...
Why do you keep looking?
They live in schools.
Yes, that's
oh,
a good one.
I like that. All right.
All right.
Yes, okay.
So here's my tablet.
All right, let's do it.
We're going to do a little... All right, so...
All right. Who are we going to start with?
We're going to start with Moxie.
Well, she is the main character.
Moxie's kind of... Well, all of my characters, I have to say, most of my characters, are basically a circle.
Okay.
Circle. And there are some illustrators who can draw like a perfect circle.
Do you admire them?
I do.
Or do you find that an unnecessary skill?
No, I admire them for that.
Okay.
I am not a perfect circler person. See,
but you know what?
She's got a little bump on her.
I think if a circle is too perfect, it doesn't look like a person drew it. So I think that your slightly imperfect circles are more perfect.
I appreciate your vote of confidence.
I have it, yeah.
Okay. And then,
yes,
right in the middle of that circle is her nose.
Okay.
And Moxie's nose is a straight line.
Okay.
With like a little triangle that's pointing a little bit upwards.
Okay, so she has a perky sort of nose.
Like a
perky, pointy sort of
up nose.
Now, if you looked at that, without knowing you're drawing a face, no one would have any idea that was a nose.
Yes.
That's what I think is really interesting.
Yes.
It only has meaning in the context of the other things that you're going to draw next.
And now I'm a little worried I drew that nose a little small, but you know what?
You know what you could make it bigger.
We'll see.
Watch
if
this.
I need to make it bigger.
Okay, but you have that skill. You
I
have
do.
that ability.
Well, this is the benefit of drawing on the computer. Look, I can absolutely
Watch this. Watch
make
this.
it bigger.
Watch that. Whoa! Gosh, does that feel more appropriate to you?
It feels more like the right
It
size.
does to me.
Yeah.
Good. Do you see how easy that was if you know how to use these tools, you guys?
on the computer.
These are powerful tools.
But, you know, if you were using a pencil, you could just erase it and dry it over again.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
This
So
is not the end of the
then-
world. Yeah.
We need the eyes.
Okay.
Moxie's eyes are just little dashes, straight up and down dashes.
It's kind of amazing how simple these drawings
She's
actually are.
She's actually very simple.
Yeah.
And then Moxie's defining feature, I think, is her gap tooth.
Right.
So you make the smile like that, right? And then I draw like that and like that to make sure I get the gap in there. And then I color in the gap.
Okay. Oh, that's
and
so
then
cool.
usually I make the tongue in there, which is a little double bump there.
I have to say there's another defining characteristic that you haven't yet drawn.
Well, that's true.
That really makes her Moxie-ish.
But this distinguishes her face from other...
Got it. Yeah.
Like, a lot of the characters I draw look exactly like this. In fact, the new book that we're doing...
Now, Robbie, why are you doing that instead of just using something to fill it in? I'm curious.
Because the style that I've drawn this book is actually... looks kind of like a pencil drawing.
So there's little gaps that you're leaving?
That I'm leaving
so this will look...
to make it look kind of scribbled in.
Interesting. Okay.
But
cool. I see that. All right.
You don't have to do it that way. You
so
can
it's,
make
it's
it
creating a little
flat.
bit of texture.
Yeah.
That you couldn't do otherwise. Right. Okay, cool.
Okay. So
you guys,
then,
I don't often get to watch Robbie draw. This is really cool for me.
So then the ears, I put the ears, so see how the nose, the bridge of the nose and the eyes go straight across. Yeah. And then I just do the ears. Moxie's got kind of ears that stick out a little bit.
Okay.
So I do the ears straight on either side.
Okay.
And then Moxie has this scrub of bangs that she never takes very good care of. It's sticking out.
This is like punk rock Moxie right here.
Yes.
This is Moxie's a teenager going to a concert.
Mohawk. Oh, I forgot her eyebrows. Moxie always is a little bit, she's so enthusiastic. So eyebrows are one of these wonderful things that, depending on how you place them, you can change entirely. Oops. You can change entirely. Oh, dear.
The emotion that you're conveying.
Yes.
You can leave everything else about the face the same, but if you change the eyebrows, the character will look very different. It's really cool.
I forgot to paint on the... Oops.
Oh, so Robbie has different layers, if that is a concept. It's hard to describe, but it's a way for her to... It's kind of like a bunch of different pieces of clear cellophane or saran wrap, all stacked on top of each other. If you draw the eyes on one layer and the nose on the other layer, but you put them together, it still looks like one face, but then you can peel away the eyes without interrupting the nose. So a lot of illustrators... Here. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm making a new layer that's called eyebrows.
Yeah.
And you can see my layers over in this bar over here.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see them, but
right.
There they are. So the eyebrows, if I draw the eyebrows like this, like this, that's one way to draw them.
Right, and she looks happy, right?
I can turn those eyebrows off now if I have a layer. So
cool.
That's what Matthew's trying to describe with the layers. So those are surprised eyebrows.
You're going to show some angry eyebrows?
Some angry eyebrows.
Look at that. Look how quickly she has a different... But she looks sort of wickedly angry. Like
In part because her mouth is still smiling, right? All we
right.
changed was her eyebrows. But we changed her attitude with that a little bit.
And she looks kind of like a bad guy, right? She's a... Oh, what's that? Oh.
Those are usually like worried eyebrows. I was wondering what worried eyebrows with a smile
But she's just too excited to make her look worried. Yeah.
This is just sort of like...
Yeah.
Oh, there's also this. One eyebrow.
Ooh, it looks like she's sort of, I can't do that, but right.
Moxie can't raise one eyebrow, as somebody pointed out,
No.
which limits my ability to make Moxie look like Sly.
It's one of Moxie's great wishes in life is that she could raise just one eyebrow. Okay, Robbie, will you please add the rest of her hair?
Right,
she's looking very upsetting to me.
So there I just scribble on the sides
around
the edge of the circle.
Yeah, all right.
And then Moxie's got those crazy pigtails, right?
She does.
Those are what make her so Moxie.
Oh, finally she's Moxie again. Whew. That was pretty stressful for a little while there. Okay, nice.
So that's pretty much how you draw Moxie.
So now you guys know how to draw Moxie.
Yeah.
Robbie did it step by step, and you can do this yourself.
Yeah.
And if you want to see this again, just rewind the video once we post it. You'll get a chance to look at it
and you will realize, see how not complicated. Oh, yeah, so I am using a stylus. So this is a stylus that, and I have a tablet. But absolutely, if you have even if you have a phone, you can. There's a program on the phone called Procreate, which you can use. It's very similar to Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop on my computer right now, but a stylus just helps it be more specific. So there you go. So there's Moxie. Milton is a little bit different. So Milton has a long head, an oval head.
Okay.
But to be honest,
what?
I don't usually start with Milton's shape of his head.
Oh, what do you
start
start
with? His glasses.
Okay.
So he has these big round glasses, right?
Yeah. One.
And again, not great. I'm not great at drawing perfect circles.
And again, I think that's okay, Robbie. And
It is okay. I've decided to.
Yeah.
But I guess partly I'm saying you don't need to be able to draw perfect circles.
You don't.
A lot of people get upset about how perfectly they're drawing. Okay, so you have the glasses. That's where we start. Then I do his nose. His nose is a little wobble.
Does anyone else love how one of Milton's glasses is almost the size of Moxie's whole head? That's one thing I love that's happening here. Scale, don't pay attention to scale.
Don't pay attention to scale, that's right. So he has this little wobbly nose that crosses over the glasses, so then you have to sort of erase out that piece of the glasses.
Okay.
Now, if you started with his nose, you could draw the glasses around it, but
right.
Because this is just the way that I do it. So then I put his eyes in his glasses.
Okay.
That one's too far over.
It never would occur to me to draw an eye as a vertical line. Like
really?
that's so nope. That's just I would always draw an eye as a little circle or an almond-shaped shape. The idea of making a straight line is just not familiar to me, but I totally see it now.
So Milton has an oblong head, like I said. Now
a little bit of a Bert and Ernie thing happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, he is way bigger. This is not to scale.
But you know what you can do? You can shrink him.
I can shrink him down.
Yeah.
But then my pen will be different sizes. So anyway, okay, so I have sort of 1/3 of his head above the glasses and then 2/3 below the glasses, right? And then he has a little just a little quiet smile. And it's always a little bit crooked.
He's afraid to smile all the way.
Yeah,
he
smiles
smiles part of the way. Yeah. No, because he's never quite sure.
Yeah. And then his ears are
Let me see.
sort of a little bit below his eyes.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how important hair is to looking like yourself? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Whew.
All right. And then, his eyebrows.
He has another defining characteristic. Who knows it? Are there any fans that know Milton's defining characteristic that's not quite a part of his head, but very near his head? It's very important for showing who he is. Milton always wears a bow tie. Always. He is very... Oh, yes. See, he looks more like Milton now.
Yes.
Just because of that.
I think that I made the bottom part of his head a little too long.
Okay. Oh my gosh, you can just move it. Yes, he looks more like himself now. It's amazing. Oh, you guys, these tools are so powerful that Robbie knows how to learn. But if you start learning them now, you will be a whiz.
So now I'm going to resize him. So that
watch this. The incredible shrinking mill. Nice. Nice.
All right, so there we've got Moxie and Milton.
Oh my gosh.
And hopefully you guys are able to follow those directions.
Yeah. I mean, she makes it look easier than it is, but I hope she also made it look possible.
Right. It's pretty simple. All the pieces that you have to put together are pretty simple.
Yeah.
So it's totally doable.
All right.
So there we go. Good
there
job,
you go,
everyone.
you guys. So if you draw your own Moxie and
Yes.
Milton, will you please post them to the Robbie and Matthew Facebook page, or use the email address on our website to send it to us. You can send it to info@robbieandmatthew.com. info@robbieandmatthew.com.
All right. Was there something that I was going to post?
I don't believe so. I think that
was on the
related
other
to the
live cast.
other live cast.
All right,
Confusing to have so many live casts flying around.
What else is on the agenda? We have 4 minutes left.
Do you always use a stylus when you're drawing, Robbie? Show the other thing that you use sometimes. When she's not drawing on the computer, she uses a quill pen.
I sometimes use a quill pen.
Yeah.
One of these little metal quills.
We will do a quill pen demonstration on a future live cast. We don't have time to get into it now. It's kind of messy.
It's a little tricky. This was easier to set up because it's on the tablet. But for all of the... Oh, El Puppy, mine looks horrible. How do you do that? You know what?
I know, bud.
I've practiced drawing these a billion jillion times. Let me show you actually a secret.
What's the secret?
The secret, I'm going to switch back to my tablet so you guys can see.
Yes.
Over here, I have this menu.
Yes.
Where I actually sometimes am not great at drawing my people again.
Okay.
So look over here in this sidebar.
Oh.
I have shortcut heads for all of the people in the next book that I'm drawing.
I didn't know this.
So that I can just...
You have like a starting point?
I have a starting point. Oh. So that I don't have to draw them from scratch every time.
I had no idea. That's such a good idea.
So I have him like facing forwards. I have him facing to the side.
Oh my goodness.
I have...
And then Robbie, show us how you change it a little bit to make it look like it's not just a cut and paste. Like,
so, I actually redraw it. I use this and
do you sort of trace it?
See, so I can make it transparent.
Oh, so
cool. And then I make a new layer and I say, this one he's gonna...
So that it doesn't look...
So it doesn't look... They don't look exactly
the same.
But
this also saves Robbie from having to know exactly what to do each time. Just saves her a lot of time and energy.
Yeah.
Good job. That's so cool.
So, yeah.
All right.
So, see, sometimes...
Don't tell Robbie secrets.
So...
Oh, puppy, keep practicing.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, even though I've been drawing these characters forever and forever and forever, I still don't... It's still a lot easier for me just to trace it.
Do you know what we'll do on another live cast?
What?
We'll have Matthew teach you how to draw Moxie and Milton, and it will help you all realize how hard it is.
You do a good job, Matthew.
Well,
I think you
but
are
we'll show them that... Yeah, and I also don't know the tools and stuff. So.
So that character is Ben from the Cookie book. We're doing a new series that I'm illustrating right now. This is the project that my deadline passed on that I'm supposed to be finishing.
It is called Cookie Chronicles?
Yes.
That is the name of the series?
Yes.
We are making 3 books for sure in that series. The first book is called Ben Yokoyama and the Cookie of Doom. And in every single book of the series, Ben gets a new fortune cookie fortune, and he takes the words on the fortune cookie very, very seriously.
Yes.
So in book 1, it's live each day as if it were your last. And Ben is like, oh my goodness, it's my last day. I have to do so many things. And in the second book, it is good things come to those who wait. So Ben stops doing anything. He says, I'm just going to wait for everything to happen.
That's what I'm working on.
Doesn't go very well. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that is Ben Yokoyama, and that's what Robbie's spending a lot of time drawing right now.
Working on right now.
Okay.
Somebody said, work smarter, not harder.
That is right.
That is absolutely true.
My goodness.
And especially, so my job is being an illustrator. I'm getting paid to do this. So the longer and harder it is, the less sort of pay I'm getting for it, just because I'm spending more time on it. So if you divided it into the hours that you spend on something, if you can do something fast, then you're making more money per hour than if you do something slow.
I want you to understand the reason we make books is not to make money. I mean, we do kind of. We do it because we love it. If you chopped it up and like how much time we spend on it, we're not making a lot of money on it. We do it mostly because we love it. But we can do it as efficiently as we can without making the work suffer.
So I have tons of shortcuts, you guys. So many shortcuts.
Somebody said, Matthew draws, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
You could totally do a Matthew draws right on here, Matthew.
So, oh my gosh, live streaming Matthew draws.
Yes.
We just had an idea. Okay. So, friends.
Well done, whoever suggested
it. was Amy.
Oh, thanks, Amy.
And one of the things I've requested of Robbie when she finishes her projects is that she set me up so that I can start doing Matthew draws again in this time of...
Matthew draws basically means that Matthew draws a celebrity that we're all supposed to recognize, and then you guys guess who it is.
And sometimes you're successful and sometimes you're not.
It's okay.
There are certain people who have characteristics that make it easier for Matthew to make them recognizable, and usually it's young, beautiful actresses who I try to draw.
Those are the hardest. Where's our agenda?
It's time for us to go. I think the agenda... There's
no closing song. I think
we have
to
lost
sing.
the... we encourage you, El Puppy, to post your Moxie Emote and drawings to the Robbie and Matthew Facebook page. Sometimes sharing your work in progress with others is a way to get the encouragement that you might not think you've earned. Others are going to support you if you're making an effort in making creative product in the world. Robbie and I had to do a lot of bad stories and drawings before we got to the point where we could make ones that are better. So, and we're still learning. I love learning. I love rock and roll send-off.
What?
Did you not read it? It said rock and roll send-off. I don't know how to do rock and roll.
Yeah, you don't. I thought you were going to play your harmonica. Somebody's chanting for us to sing.
Ooh, Saturday, so good to be.
Can you play your harmonica?
I'll try.
Matthew's going to play his harmonica.
I'm not ready.
We're gonna see you later. We're gonna have a nice day for the rest of the day. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. We will see you tomorrow.
Saturday.
I'm so sorry that you only got half of the chapter. You must feel so incomplete. It's going to be hard to sleep tonight, and you're going to be sad all day long, and it's Robbie's fault. Write her letters that say it's your fault, Robbie.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, rock and roll.